Hi, and welcome to Krannert Art Museum Yoga in my home. I'm Jody. Thanks for joining today. The weather is turning into spring, so hopefully you're feeling that in your body as well. But a lot of us are still recovering from that nasty cold spell from last week. So we'll take it kind of easy today. A couple blocks are going to be great. A blanket could be helpful if you want a bolster or a pillow. Firm pillow from your couch, that can be nice for Shavasana. If you have an eye pillow, you can use that as well. Maybe you want a blanket on top of you. So just make yourself really comfortable. Maybe you've got your favorite essential oil diffusing. So we will start on our back. So we're gonna do the two block heart opener is what I like to call it. Really allows for that opening in the chest, that expansion in the front of the body, often where we're collapsed in our posture, just due to day-to-day activities. It allows that more passive opening in the chest. So to get started, you'll want 2 blocks, 1 block under the shoulder blades, and 1 block under the head. So starting to make your way, you can recline back, just making sure that the body feels supported and the blocks are positioned in such a way that it's comfortable for you. Not going for a deep stretch here, it's more about a passive stretch. And then the knees can stay bent, so especially if, like me lately, you're having any kind of low back tension, you can keep the knees bent, or legs can go long. You can always have a bolster under the knees or a firm cushion from the couch. And with this support, just relaxing the body, closing the eyes, and checking in with yourself. Notice how you feel today. Notice the quality of your thoughts. Observing any emotions. Staying curious about what you find. Still relaxing the body all the while. Also beginning to notice the breath, so through it all, just breathing with ease. So training the mind to just sit with anything that feels uncomfortable. It can also be so important to allow ourselves moments of stillness and quiet. There's no distraction. Healing for the body, for the eyes, just resting them, coming out of any artificial light or screen time, letting them rehydrate and rest. Letting the mind rest. We're often pulled in many different directions in our days, so finding this focus, so healing. But it can also be challenging, so when we offer ourselves these quiet moments, things can come up. So just training ourselves to breathe through it, to stay curious, to stay open. And offering yourself something positive, that intention, that sankalpa as it's called in yoga and Sanskrit, this promise to yourself of what you want to work on, what you want to infuse into the practice, what energy you want to bring into every breath, every movement. just beginning to breathe that intention into the body, filling you up. Letting the exhalation just be a release of anything you might still be holding on to, things that might not serve you. A few more breaths, inhaling, receiving, and exhaling, releasing. Breathing into the belly, feeling expanded in the lungs, the torso and the rib cage. Breathing into the fullness that's available to you in this moment. Taking a cleansing breath, breathe in through the nose. Open the mouth to exhale. Starting to just open and close the mouth, maybe into a yawn or a deeper breath. Just noticing the jaw, letting it relax. You can start to open the palms and stretch through the fingers, letting them separate. You can start to move the fingers, start to roll through the wrists. Starting to roll in the opposite direction. It's full range of motion. So important to move the joints like this, keeping them so healthy and lubricated. It's like feeding the joints through movement. All that synovial fluid. Then you can bend elbows out to the sides a bit more. Maybe the arms float away from the earth. Taking deep breaths here. So feel that expansion across the chest. Make sure this feels safe for the body, for the joints. You can move the arms maybe more up overhead. So just exploring mindfully, slowly, where you're getting your optimal stretch for your body today. Using the breath, just a few more breaths exploring. One more deep breath. Then you'll take your time, carefully dismounting off of the block. So you can roll to either side, supporting then your head on top of your arm as you curl more into a fetal position, letting the spine come back into more neutral shape. Starting to roll the chest and the belly more towards the earth as you use arm strength to press up with more of a roundedness to the spine and a heaviness to your head. And we'll just do some work on neck and shoulders. So an invitation to sit on something. Maybe you have a pillow for a little cushion, or just have the blanket that's folded, allowing the pelvis to spill forward, the legs to ground. And my spine can stay tall without effort. So arriving here and taking some rolls through shoulders, up, back, and down. Just breathing, moving, and just lubricating the joints through movement. And one more time, rolling through the shoulders, up, back, and down as you keep the heart open. Just relax the arms, resting the hands on the thighs or the knees. For a moment, just the head is heavy, bowed forward into space, into gravity. No force is used. And soften through the face, soften around the eyes. Breathing. Creating some movement, you can start to sway the head gently from side to side. Just take your time. Keeping the shoulders relaxed. And giving the body time to open. Especially if there's tightness, maybe there's old injury or the way that you slept is causing some restriction in the neck. Just another sway, gentle and slow from side to side. And then head comes heavy, chin centered over the chest once again. One more deep breath. Starting to lift the gaze, lift the chin until you just feel a gentle stretch in the neck and the throat. Relaxing the jaw. You can even open and close the mouth here. And then bringing the neck back to neutral so the chin is parallel to the earth. And we're just going to check our blind spots. So rotating the gaze over the shoulder, the left shoulder. Notice the natural stopping point. We'll work on that. So if it feels restricted, we'll get better. And then over that right shoulder. Excuse me, back through center. Over the left shoulder. And then releasing the head down. So gazing down. You can stay here. These are our options. Or floating that left palm up, hand resting on the back of the head. Breathing here. You can even reach the right fingertips towards the earth. Letting that right shoulder relax away from the right ear. And breathe. Changing the hand position, changing the head position. Just a couple more breaths. Eyes can be closed or a soft gaze. Just finding where you can soften a bit more. And keeping your head bowed, relaxing the hands, the arms, the chin centered over the chest, and just a little sway of the head from side to side. One more time from side to side, nice and slow. Back through center. Again, you can lift the gaze, lift the chin. It's parallel to the earth, tall spine. And just find that rotation from side to side, over one shoulder, then over the other. Ultimately over the right shoulder. Pausing here and then just bringing the gaze down. This might be enough for you. Sides might be very different. Or again, you can float that right arm up, hand resting more towards the back of the head. This might be enough. You can breathe here, do the work here. It may feel good to reach the left arm down. Notice the impact there. Every movement might have a change in the quality of the stretch. Keeping the shoulders relaxed. Maybe changing the head position, changing the hand position. You'll just find what you need. Over time, the more you practice, the more you'll just know where to go, where there's habitual holding, habitual tension in the body. So a couple more breaths here. And then relaxing the arms, resting the hands back on the thighs or the knees. You can just simply release the head heavy Keep the spine tall and then just start to sway the head, just like we did at the beginning, from side to side. Maybe rocking the head more back in space with each rock, with each sway. Maybe we've opened a bit more of those tight places. One more time from side to side. Chin coming centered to the chest once again. One more breath. Starting to gently lift the chin, lifting the gaze, finding that gentle stretch in the neck and the throat. Think about lengthening through the back of the neck as well. So not just crunching, not just drawing the head back, but really lifting. And then ultimately the neck is neutral, chin parallel to the earth, and just rotate the gaze from side to side and hopefully feeling a bit more of an ability to turn the head without restriction. So that blind spot checker stretch is what I like to call it. One more time, just finding that rotation from side to side. So all this functional movement, all this stretching really enabling us to just live better quality lives, ability to be more present, to use our bodies as we're able. So taking some rolls through shoulders, up, back, and down. And one more time, rolling through the shoulders. And start to plant the palms alongside the hips. I'm shifting off of my seat here, off of the blanket. And then extend the legs out long, palms still alongside the hips. And as you press into the earth, we're just arching the back, arching the spine. Breathing some life into the front of the body, engaging the back body. One more inhalation here. And then as you exhale, intentionally round to the spine. You can bend at the elbows, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Couple breaths, just breathing into the back. And then inhaling, arching, opening, expanding. Exhale, finding that rounding, drawing in. Just another cycle of breath like that, inhaling. And exhaling. Back to a nice long neutral spine. Start to bend the knees. Bring the soles of the feet together. You can take hold of the feet or the ankles or the shins, driving the knees towards the earth. A moment to engage the pelvic floor and the low core. So we're finding that strong foundation here to grow the spine even taller. Open the heart even more by engaging the back body. So you can squeeze the shoulder blades along the spine gently. Just breathe with this engagement. One more breath. And then just relaxing the legs as you start to extend them out. Feet can go hip distance or wider. We're just flexing and pointing through the feet. So waking up the extremities. Rolling at the ankles, feeding the joints by moving them. Rolling in the opposite direction. And stilling the movement to spread the toes, still finding a tall spine here. Letting the toes just relax as you rebend the knees, replant the feet, palms alongside the hips. And here just a moment to create just little movements of the knees. So just a little bit of a sway of the knees. We're intentionally massaging the glutes and preparing the body for more. So eventually beginning to sway a little bit deeper into the movements from side to side. Getting in the habit of pressing into the fingertips, pressing into the knuckles, so we're not straining the wrist joints. And then go ahead and sway the knees over to that left side. We're going to continue to twist to the left. You might want to tuck the right shin under. And as you twist, the left hand to the earth, the right hand to the thigh. Inhale, find length. Exhale, find rotation. The gaze can go over the shoulder. So we've already opened the neck a little, so we're just utilizing that. Breathing without forcing. One more breath. Taking your time to rotate out. And then as you do, you can start to extend the right leg out, keeping the sole of the left foot to the inner thigh. Now, a moment here, you can isolate just by flexing and pointing through that right foot, freeing up any energy that was maybe trapped with that twist. You can roll at the ankle. Rolling in the opposite direction. Keeping that foot flexed. Start to rotate the midline, the center line of the chest in line with the center line of the leg. Think about reaching the heart forward, relaxing the left thigh to the earth, or if it's flying up in space and that doesn't feel good, you want some grounding there, you can use a prop, a block or a blanket or a pillow. But ultimately we want that stretch of the right leg, the back of the thigh, maybe even the back of the calf. Notice the more you flex the foot, the more you'll achieve that. The more you reach the heart forward, you should feel that. Trying to collapse in the posture. And breathe. You can soften the knee if you need to. You can always slide something under the knee joint if that feels more supportive, or even the hand is working for me. You can tone the quads. You can actually watch the kneecap lift as you engage that quad, and that allows the hamstring group to just relax a bit. So let's take 3 more deep breaths like this. Neck is neutral, no straining. You can use the core strength to engage the low belly. Use arm strength, come back through seated. Keeping the left knee bent, flexing that left foot, placing the outer ankle on top of the thigh. You can think about driving the left knee towards the earth as you sit up tall. This is beautiful. You can stay here if you're getting that stretch in the outer left hip. I like to go a little bit deeper into a different version of this stretch by pressing palms into the earth, bending that right knee to any degree, any amount. And it feels good too to rock a little from side to side, so you can kind of play with that. And then eventually through stillness, tall spine, pressing into fingertips and knuckles, maybe closing the eyes, and just breathe. Checking in, again, there should be no pain anywhere. It should all just feel good. Let's take 3 more breaths. And then slowly begin to extend through the right leg, keeping that left knee bent. Bring the sole of the foot to the outer right leg if possible. If not possible, you can just bring it to the inside. But the idea here is that we're drawing that knee towards or even across the midline of the body, left sit bone staying heavy to the ground, using my right hand to draw the knee in. So the outer hip stretch is what we're going for, and a twist. So you can start to continue to twist to that left side with the left palm propping you up, gazing over that shoulder. One more breath. Take your time to rotate out, and then just extend through both legs. You can pump the backs of the legs into the earth if that feels good, rocking legs back and forth. We're moving into the hip joint with this rocking. Again, just lubricating the joints. Maybe rolling through ankles, maybe rolling through the wrists. So if that was a lot of weight bearing for you, propping yourself up, maybe the wrists want a little bit of attention, so you can roll through ankles, roll through wrists, flick fingers, shake out hands. And then we'll do the other side. So you can start to bend the knees, plant the feet, palms alongside the hips. You can start with those little baby rocks if that felt good for the massage in the glutes. Again, coming into those bigger sweeping movements over time. And then we're just going to release the knees over to the right. So maybe tucking the left shin in, coming up more onto the top of that foot as you continue to twist to that right. Right hand to the earth, left hand to the thigh. Inhale, find leg. Exhale, find rotation. Gazing over the shoulder. One more breath. Starting to slowly rotate out. As you do so, you can extend through that left leg, bring the sole of the foot to the inner thigh, flexing and pointing, rolling through that left ankle. Just freeing up any energy that's been restricted. And then keeping the foot in flexion, find that rotation of the spine, of the torso over the leg. You can start to reach the heart forward as you breathe and tone through the quad, tone through the core. Flexing through the foot some more. Make sure the knee feels supported. Again, you can always have something underneath the knee. Heavy the right thigh. Breathe just a few more breaths. Starting to engage the core. Start to press palms into the earth, finding a nice tall spine. Keep the left leg long, the right foot flexed. Place the outer ankle on top of the thigh. Think about the top of the pelvis tilting forward with a tall spine. So this might be enough if you're getting that outer hip stretch. I'm not really feeling it, so I always like to go to that next step of bending the left knee, planting the left foot to some degree. So the bend, the amount of bend is up to you. And then that little rocking, that self-massaging, especially on that right hip now, should feel good. Helps with that cellular metabolism. As we apply that gentle pressure, it's like we're squishing the bad stuff out of the cells, and then fresh oxygenated blood is able to rejuvenate the cells. Eventually back through stillness, back through center, tall spine. Maybe eyes closed. Feeling that opening in the hip. Letting the mind stay engaged there. We get more benefit from our practice the more we can stay engaged in the practice. Notice that balance of engagement, but also letting go. So finding that for the next 3 breaths on your own. Taking your time to lengthen through that left leg and keep the right knee bent. Again, the sole of the foot on the outer edge of the leg or the inner edge. But the idea is that we're drawing the knee or the thigh in towards the midline or even across the midline. I'm heavying that right thigh to the ground and then twisting. Twisting is secondary. Keeping the left leg active, the toes skyward, finding that rotation, gazing over the right shoulder. Keep drawing the thigh in towards the midline. Takes a little effort here. Just another breath. Taking your time to rotate out. And again, legs can go long, feet can go wide. You're just gonna pump the legs, rock and roll through ankles, maybe the wrists. Spread fingers, spread toes. Really just seeing what you need here to reset. You can even sway the head a little from side to side. And then coming to a child's pose. So take your time. You can bend your knees. You can roll over the shins if that feels safe for the joints. Coming to a symmetrical stretch, opening up through the back body, inner big toes touch. Knees can go wide. Sinking the hips back towards the heels, but stretching along through the spine and ultimately forehead to something, the earth or stacked hands or a pillow. I'm taking 3 deep breaths here. Just expanding with the breath. And starting to press the palms under the shoulders. Coming to seated on your shins and then curl the toes under. So you can walk your hands back. You're going to come into a forward fold. So do so mindfully. Maybe you hang out in a squat for a moment. Maybe this feels good. You can sway the hips a little from side to side. But eventually we're going to lengthen the legs slowly and then step the feet out as wide as the mat. Pinky toe edges of feet are in line with the edges of the mat. You can use your blocks here, you can use the ground. Head can be heavy. You can rock forward and back, spreading toes each time. Again, knees can be deeply bent. You can sway the head from side to side. It's just a matter of what feels good for you. Just a moment of stillness, even with knees bent. Arms can dangle or hold onto either elbow, does not matter, but lift your tailbone skyward. Heavy the head. And keeping that lifting of the tailbone, softness to the knees. You can start to walk out slowly into a down dog. Arriving here, feet about hip distance apart, pressing the mat away. So from your down dog, step the inner big toes together. You can start to tone the left leg, lifting the left heel skyward. Find a length here. Inhale. As you exhale, shifting forward, hollow out the belly, round the spine, planting that foot between your palms. So from here, stay low to the ground, feel strong in the foundation. The right heel can lift or it can ground. It just depends on how stable you feel. And you can walk your hands to that left thigh. And engage through the legs, engage through the core, and keep the belly more towards that left thigh. We're just going to start to bend through the right knee, tuck the tailbone, and then use that right glute and hamstring strength to extend through the leg. So we're bending, tucking the tailbone, and extending. So it's just that right leg that's really doing all the work here. So a couple more times bending, and then extending. And then the next time you extend, just pause and stay. Feel strong in the core, lengthen the spine. From here, start to release the hands to the earth, to the inside of the front foot. That left foot can walk out a little bit. You're just going to lizard lunge, rocking forward and back a little bit. Still toning that right buttock muscle, toning the glute. Finding stillness. And as you release that right knee to the earth, maybe you have it on a mat that's doubled over or on a blanket. You can keep the right toes tucked or untucked. Think about heavying the right hip, well, both hips to the earth. Maybe even bending through the elbows a little bit. Just a couple breaths here. And then keeping yourself low to the ground, start to extend through the left leg. Keep the fingers where they're at. Flexing that left foot. You can have a soft knee. Neck is neutral. And just create space here. Really feel that stretch in the body. Breathe. And maybe it feels good to flex and point through that left foot. Freeing up some energy, making sure all the joints feel safe and happy. Just another breath. Starting to rebend the knee, replant the foot, curl the right toes under, popping that right knee up, and then just sweeping that left leg back into a plank. We're going to vinyasa here. So inhale, preparing. Exhale, lowering through your chaturanga. Maybe knees to the earth. Inhaling, cobra, strengthen back body core. And then pressing back, just finding a child's pose for a moment. Evening out the body, resting the forehead, resting the head to the earth. 3 deep breaths. And stretching long through the arms, wrists in line with shoulders, lifting the head to the fingers. Curl toes under, lift hips up and back, finding down dog. You can pedal out through feet for a moment. Swaying the hips. Keep pressing the mat away. Finding stillness, inner big toes touch. So from here, the right leg lifts. We're strong in the back of the leg. Inhale. Exhale to shift forward, round the spine. Plant the foot between the palms. Feet hip distance. Keep spreading toes, broadening through feet, finding your foundation. And staying low, thigh to the belly, hands to the belly. Balance, right? Keep the eyes steady. And then from here, we're just going to really lengthen through that left leg, engage through the buttock muscle, the hamstring, and then as you bend the knee, tuck the tailbone, keep that tuck as you extend through that leg again. And each time you bend, tuck the tailbone, engage the glute, extend that leg. So we're really working at that hip flexor, opening that up. Especially if you've been sitting all day, that guy can shorten quite a bit. Just a couple more times, bending and extending. Without gripping in the toes. Keeping that leg long so that activity is happening at the glute. Hands to the inside of the front foot. You can walk the right foot out. Lizard lunge, so rocking back and forth. Keep the foundation really strong here to support this movement, this exploration. Slowly release the knee. You can keep toes tucked or untucked. Maybe have a cushion under the knee. And then just heavy the hips to the earth. Breathe. Maybe soften through the elbows. Couple more breaths here. Starting to extend through the body, shifting the hips back, lengthen through the right leg, maybe flex it. Fingers stay glued to where they were. Neck is long. And again, you can play with movement of that right ankle. Flexing and pointing, maybe a little rocking. Finding where there's some resistance and then just doing the work there. Breathing there. Couple more breaths. And then we're shifting forward, bending the knee, curl the back toes under, lift that knee up. You can sweep the right leg back, pausing in your plank. We can come to side plank, so you can shift on to the left. You can be on the outer edge of the foot, or you can release that left shin to the earth in that variation. So finding your variation of your plank, maybe stacking the feet, one on top or one next to each other, just one more breath. Coming back through plank and then over to the other side. So again, maybe the knee to the earth, maybe the feet are stacked one on top of the other, one next to each other. We're breathing, finding core strength, arm strength. One more inhalation. Exhale, back to plank. Inhale, preparing, shifting forward. Exhale, lower down, chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra, we want that back body core. And then exhale, press back with that core strength back into your child's pose. 3 deep breaths here. And pressing the palms under the shoulders, up to a tabletop position. Just a couple cat-cows. Inhale, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone, open the heart. Exhale, rounding the spine, press the mat away. One more time. Flowing through the cat-cow. Then inhale, still arching the spine, lift the tailbone. This time curl the toes, lift hips up and back, down dog, pressing the mat away. Head is heavy. Knees can be bent, heels are heavy. And breathe. And one more breath. Then slowly with control, release your knees to the earth. You can rock back, crossing at the ankles, rolling back over the shins, back to seated. Making sure there's plenty of room back behind you. Bending knees, planting feet. A little bit of core strength as you press the sky away with the palms, keeping that as you roll down, curling the spine down. Keep pressing, keep drawing shoulders up into the ears. Keep it breathing, that slow, controlled release with core strength, arriving into a full body stretch. So arms can go long, legs can lengthen, spread the fingers, spread the toes. Deep breaths, maybe a cleansing breath. Starting to bend one knee, then the other. Feet planting, let them plant wide as you just rest the knees against one another and draw the elbows in line with shoulders. Inhaling through center. And exhaling as you draw the knees to the right, the gaze to the left. 3 deep breaths. Gently floating the knees through center, let them rest against one another. Take a full belly breath. And then inhaling and exhaling, knees to the left, gaze over to the right. Soften. 3 breaths. Take your time gazing skyward, floating the knees back through center. Let them rest against one another. Starting to separate the knees as you heel to toe the feet closer together. And draw the knees into the chest. You can take a little rock from side to side. Coming back through center, maybe happy baby to finish your practice. Any final stretches you need to feel complete in your practice. Or just a longer Shavasana. Just a couple more breaths here to finish. Ultimately, letting the legs go long, maybe supporting the legs under the knees, especially if there's low back tension. Arms alongside the body with space, shoulders away from ears, closing the eyes and simply resting. Begin to deepen your breath. as you reawaken your body with movements, and fingers and toes, ankles and wrists, stretching arms overhead into a full body stretch as you open and close the mouth into a yawn or a deeper breath. Bending one knee, bending the other, feet planting. Staying mindful in your movements as you roll gently to either side, curling into a fetal position, just pausing. Making a conscious choice of what you want to take with you into your day. Maybe that intention that you set. Take that energy with you. Keeping eyes closed or a soft gaze, pressing up to seated. The rounded spine, heavy head. Until you find your seat, find that rooting down through the foundation of the body, the pelvis, the sit bones, the legs. From that strong foundation, grow the spine tall. Open the heart. Bring hands to your heart. Just a moment to acknowledge this practice and yourself with a grateful heart. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.